Uh, Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock.
Why?
Hello, in this video I want to review this new movie One Battle After Another. I want to start by saying it was a very good movie, go and check it out. And I'm also interested in some more niche debates about this movie. One of them is this movie liberal or a leftist movie? I'll tell you something about it in a moment. But the premise of this movie is that Leonardo DiCaprio, in his youth, was a leftist violent revolutionary. He produced bombs for terrorists, then he retired, and then 16 years after that, his past comes to haunt him in a form of an evil, ultra racist, white supremacist colonel called Lockjaw. Now, what's interesting about this movie, I saw a lot of reviews on YouTube coming from the right side of the political spectrum saying that this movie is leftist propaganda, but I would actually disagree. So what often gets missed, Hollywood is liberal propaganda, usually. I'm not saying that every Hollywood movie is liberal propaganda, but for example, Hollywood glorifies figures such as FDR, Lincoln, so heroes that did end up fighting for something good, but they were not outlaws using leftist revolutionary violence on the state. They were often either pacifists like Martin Luther King, or they themselves were in charge of the state like Lincoln, where the Southerners were actually outlaws. There are actually very few movies in Hollywood that glorify leftist terrorism, and that's what I actually find very interesting about this movie. You can type in the comment section if any other movie comes to mind. There aren't that many Hollywood movies that glorify communists or leftist terrorists. One flaw of the movie is, here I agree with some commentators, I would like to know more about what's the actual ideology of the leftist terrorists. Is it anarchism, Marxism, something else? But okay, I guess the director decided to deliberately not tell us exactly what's their main ideology. Now, some critiques coming from the left side of the political spectrum actually say that this movie is something like a liberal fantasy of how leftist revolutionaries are supposed to look like. To an extent, I agree, but I don't see anything wrong with it, and I would say that the movie is at the same time also a parody of leftist revolutionaries. Leonardo DiCaprio is portrayed as this actually very incompetent leftist revolutionary, and the movie deliberately, also in a friendly way, makes fun of the leftist revolutionaries, but at the same time manages to be very serious and actually have some very serious political messages to tell us in this particular moment when you have the Trump administration doing some crazy things. So I think that that's why the movie was released at this specific date. Of course, the movie is based on a book that's from the 1990s, so the movie wasn't written recently, but I think they chose to release it in this particular moment, partially also as a critique of ICE and some things that are happening in America. So yeah, I agree with the leftist critique that this is more of a how liberals envision leftist revolutionaries, but I'm perfectly fine with it. And also, okay, for the end, I also want to address one critique. One critique that I also saw on YouTube is that had the movie been made about right-wing terrorists, that critics would not like it. And I agree, but the thing is, okay, obviously Hollywood is more against right-wing terrorism, but it's not really pro-leftist terrorism either. So that's what's interesting about this movie. It's really an exception. But other than that, most of the world hates right-wing terrorism more. than leftist terrorism. Let me explain what I mean. If you openly call yourself a fascist, more people will react in a negative way than if you call yourself a communist. That's not just a bias that exists in Hollywood. For example, even in authoritarian countries like Russia, you can say I'm a communist. You can even start a communist party. Of course, you are not winning any elections because Putin always wins, but you can do it, while you can start an openly fascist party. At least you can't call it fascism. That's my point. And I think that most people will react more negatively if you say that you are a fascist, because Hitler started World War II and then he lost it. And the countries that sit on the UN Security Council, the permanent members, are actually the very same states that defeated Hitler. So our entire world order was based on defeating fascism. So that critique is meaningless. You know, it applies to the entire world. But the trick is, if you actually don't call yourself a fascist, but you espouse similar ideas, you might actually be popular as a politician in many countries. But okay, let's return to the movie. I would definitely recommend it, and yeah, go check it out. I think it managed to actually find a great balance of humor and seriousness that not many movies manage to pull off. And if you like this review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.